See the chat.
All righty. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, Mrs. Day Smith. And then I'm going to tear it up, Doc, every
It's all
time.
right.
Pinkston.
Pinkston. So like
Pinkston. I know. What is it? I'm sorry.
I do that all the time.
I'm sorry. Are you guys ready for this balancing act? Doing
Yes.
it all as professional women. I'm really excited about this. I think this conversation is so needed. I think you guys are the best ones to have this conversation with. Again, thank you all so much for joining the BK's career conversation. We have so much going on over here in this world called professional lives. One day I'm over here talking on a podcast. The next day I'm over here trying to get someone's business together. And the next day I'm on a radio station trying to promote happiness, joy, and everything else. And then doing all of that, I'm trying to keep my own life together and my marriage and my grandkids, just balancing it all. So with that being said, I just really want to have a conversation and really talk about how do you balance it all? Or do we ever balance it all? This is not going to be a question and answer. I have two professional women that have some great background. And I want to start with you, Doctor. If you could share with us who you are, your name, and how long you've been on this journey, and what is your journey?
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Well, I am an old dinosaur in San Antonio, let me tell you. I am a family practice doctor, but really an integrative medicine doctor in San Antonio. I've been here for almost 26 years. Actually, I've been here for over 30 years, but I've been a physician for over 26 years now. And I do own my own practice. And that's why I say I'm a dinosaur, because that's unheard of these days.
Right. It really is.
And I have a business partner, and we've worked very hard for all these years. So I'm a mom and a podcaster myself. I have my own YouTube radio show and podcast show that I do. I'm in, a lot of different organizations, and trying to do a lot of philanthropic things and whatnot. I teach. The list just keeps going.
Right.
Mom is always the most important thing, but that they're older now, so they're taking their own world, and I did that, and that's great. But I tell you what, I think that women are probably the best at juggling things. I think we have been trained in our minds to, from way back, centuries back even, that we are the caretakers, and we are ahead, not the head of the household, maybe financially breadwinning and all, not at least these days, we are, but in the past, not. And I think that we watched our moms and our grandma, put it out there that we have to take care of everybody, and we put ourselves last.
Right.
And I've been trying to write a book. It'll happen one of these days, but I've been trying to write a book called The Superwoman Syndrome. Because that's essentially what we
exactly, yes.
And what frightens me about it, though, that I see more and more, because as we get more and more of an instant gratification world, and, things are heaping on us harder and harder, and we're taking care of our parents, we're taking care of our kids, our business, we are the breadwinners now, all these things, that we are making ourselves sick. And I think that disease and morbidity and disease is rising, and death is rising in women because of it. And certainly depression and, mental illness and things like that. So that's my fear. And I feel like I've succumbed to that from time to time in a way that,
and you know what, that honestly is where I'm going to dive into. Right? I want to dive into a little more, but I want to bring Day into this conversation so she can also introduce.
Can I refresh it? The quality is a little. So
she's refreshing us. Hold on one second. We'll come back in if it knocks you guys.
Day looks very young. You're beautiful.
Spectrum with kids. Dive into that.
Okay, there we go. Are
Well,
we in?
you're
We're ready?
a girl.
Okay, that's much better. I can see what she was talking about. It was a little blurry, so we're better. Okay, Day, if you could introduce yourself to the audience and kind of share with us what you think, who you are, what you're doing, and why, or are you able to balance it all?
Yeah. So I'll start here. I am a modern day Proverbs 31 woman. That's my line. And as that, I am a mom of two little kids, 8 and 4. I work full time and I run a full time business as a professional organizer and productivity coach. And on top
Wow.
of that, I am speaker, author, podcast host. And so when we talk about balancing it all,
Mm-hmm.
that is something that I strive for, to try to balance all these balls I have up in the air and not succumb to anxiety, mom guilt, depression, imposter syndrome, all the things,
Mm-hmm.
um, as many women do. And I do put a lot on my plate. These things that I do give me fulfillment though. So I don't want to necessarily take it off. It's just like I got to give something a little bit more at one time and then give something else a little bit more at another time. I am embracing a life of what they call the soft life, as the young people say,
Okay.
where
Okay.
I've grown up thinking that, like you, Dr. Pinkston, the women have to shoulder it all. We got to take care of this and take care of that. But the dynamics of life have changed, where we are working harder or as hard as our husbands, and we're still expected to be as attentive at work and at home. I think I saw a quote that was like, "You're expected to work as hard as if you don't have kids and run your home as if you don't work." Like that's just impossible. And
Mm-hmm. It
so
is.
embraced self-care. I've embraced wellness. And because I think that, like Dr. Pinkston said, it's important to take a step back and pour into yourself. I'm learning that's the way that I personally am going to be able to balance it, is taking a step back, pour it into myself, and making sure that I'm living that soft life as much as
Well,
I can.
it's so funny you said that, but I think I agree with both sides of it because I think it's so easy for us to go into, especially our generation day, and that's why you're so. For me, you're so. What's the word I want to say when I describe you? You're motivating for me in a lot of ways because the youth really can help. I don't want to call you youth. I mean, the younger generation really does help me a lot because
Yeah.
we can't do it all. The expectation of where we came from, Doc and myself, we came from, is the expectation that we should. And then being okay with saying that, no, I'm tired and not today.
Right.
And so, or no, I don't think this is going to work for me. It's just not going to fit in with my schedule. And I think with your generation day, it's almost like you guys have given us permission to say, hey, yeah, literally, because and you're a trailblazer in your own right. And please jump in, Doc, and tell me whether you disagree or you agree with that. You're a trailblazer in your own right because you guys have no problem with saying,
It's
no, I'm
great.
not doing that.
Boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries.
Yes.
You must have better boundaries than we did because as growing up, women were just in the background, meant to just take care and infiltrate everything, never say no, because if you say no,
Mhm.
you're weak. You're weak if you let
Yes.
your guard and say no. And so to be able to, I think it's actually quite like you say, I see the youth a lot stronger in
Yes.
their self-fulfillment to be able to say, no, I can't do that. You can, because I think we enable people when we don't say no and let somebody else take over something, like, your children. It's like, well, yeah, they can't make their bed right, so I'll just do it. And it's like, you never teach them to make their bed right. So you've got to quit enabling people, have those boundaries, let them take care of things and make mistakes and learn, and go.
What is one of the things, if you can, first of all, what is the makeup of an individual that feels like she has to or he has to do it all? And I really want to take that from a clinical perspective. What is the makeup? What makes a person feel like they can do it all? Let's talk about that.
I wonder if sometimes there is a little bit of need for people's approval.
There it goes. And I'm glad you said that because
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it because I, of course, have no clinical or medical or whatever background to be able to speak on that.
You
But
don't have to have clinical background. That's
okay, because I really do believe a lot of that is because we want the approval or the, the validation from others and that you can do it all. Day, how do you feel about that?
I was thinking the same thing. It's validation and discontentment, because you are not content where you're at. So you're trying to add more and not staying in a space of discontentment, not laziness and not having drive, but just content, To me, that's where I see myself putting more on or feel like I have superwoman complex, as Dr. Pinkston said, is the discontentment.
right. And I think that's the difference in like what you brought out, Valerie, the difference in the generations. Because I think the younger generation is great about motivating themselves because of discontentment. I want to be better. I want to go forward. I never want to look back. I want to elevate myself and everybody around me. And I think maybe for your and our generation, it is more about an approval because I think we come from a background that we were never good enough.
And that's really true. Not being good enough really comes in from needing the approval early on. And because there were so many things that was going on in our lives and our parents' life that sometimes women, period, they were so busy trying to keep the house going. A lot of the validation that was needed in us as young children, we didn't get. And so you grow up with that syndrome as you get older. And by the time you realize that, hey, oh my God, I can't keep doing this. You look up and you're over the age of 40 or 50 and you're like, wow, it's a wrap. Yeah. So I'm really glad we're having this conversation because this conversation means a lot to especially young professionals or young ones that are getting out there and trying to figure their way in this thing. We got a question that just came in from Joseph Sanchez. His question was, did it go somewhere? His question was, what does validation mean to you? So let's go there. Let's answer the question. I'll throw it to you guys. Anyone that wants to answer that question first, go ahead.
Well, validation again, I think that I had, grew up in kind of a day and age where women still were not seen as, I hate to say equal, but we were just seen as in a, different orientation in life. We weren't really meant to, run the household. We weren't really meant to, go to school and do all these great things. And we were meant to be at home. And then also I had kind of a difficult childhood where, my parents were divorced and it was just my mom and I, and she was a great woman, but it was very hard for her to, pull the household and we were at odds many times. I felt I was kind of the latchkey kid, so I got myself up, got myself to school, did my own laundry, did all these things. And I never really had a strong, role model in the house to take care of me. And so I just wound up, having to take care of everybody else. And I never felt like I was good enough. And I don't know how that surfaced. I'm sure that was in kind of the difficulties of dysfunctional home and whatnot, but, just never was good enough. So I look for it in other areas of my life. People have to like me or I'm no good. It's just that simple.
It was that simple. Okay, what about you, Day? You want to take that question as well? Yes.
Makes me feel like the decisions that I make and how I am is okay. How I am, how I think when I hear someone say something or agree with me, it makes me feel like this is okay or this is right. And the same with my decision. So that's what it means to me. It goes back to approval. It goes back to just knowing that, okay, I made a decision in my head or I am a certain way.
Yeah.
Validation helps me to know that this is right or this is okay.
Okay. Perfect. I think I like both of you guys' answers, and I hope that answers it for Joseph. But I take it for me for validation. It really has evolved. The person that I was before, and I can almost say a year ago, validation meant something different to me. Validation meant that I was waiting on, it's crazy as it can sound for someone that's been out here in the career path, entrepreneur for over 20 years. I waited for even people that were close to me, to tell me you're doing a good job. And so that was my validation then. My validation now, honestly speaking, hey, how are you feeling about what you're making a decision to go forward with, Valerie?
Absolutely.
Are you feeling overwhelmed? What are you feeling? So now validation for me means, what am I feeling at that particular moment for me versus outside of me? So
You to take that a step further, because that's actually very beautifully put. And I think part of it is being in my 50s now. I think that makes a big difference. But validation, in a way, kind of what I was discussing was more of a negative connotation, that something negative about myself and needing other people's thoughts to validate me, make me more positive about me. And with her, it's a more positive connotation. It's like, I'm just checking to see, I feel good about myself, what I'm doing, but I'm just kind of bouncing off of others.
Yes.
What is, what might be right or wrong. So maybe I can adjust, or, not change, but adjust or thought. And I'm not sure if that's what you meant, Dave, but or kind of part of what I got.
Yes.
But there's a negative side to it. And I think we can use validation as appropriate. I think we're all trying to be liked and loved and whatnot, or respected. It doesn't matter, but just respected and seen as a positive force in our lives and our worlds and people around us. But I think if we can take a more positive slant to it, validation is an okay thing.
It's an okay thing. It really is. Well, they're coming in with the questions. So Scott Hamilton just said, his question was, oh my God, do you think women have more validation than men? Or I think he's probably trying to say need more validation than men.
Absolutely. I think again, it's, as women, we have always had that need to be loved by our kids, loved by our family, loved by, society, seen as always strong and positive and never weak and never breaking down. And so I think, though, we are exhausted and feel like we've got to, we've got to hold that status. And if not, then we're a failure somehow.
Yeah.
It's not.
And actually, it's not true. I think men, and Dave, please, me, just jump in here. Yeah. I think men just really, they just walk around with, I'm going to do me. And I think we as women, just sit around and wait to do us. Some of us just wait to do us.
I was going to take the other approach and say, I think men do need validation, honestly, because they just don't express it.
Right.
But
you know what, Dave? I think I have to agree with you. I'm going to pull back on that. You're right.
And the reason why I say this is because we may communicate, because we're verbal communicators, and say, how do I look in this dress, or whatever. But I think their validation needs comes through their actions. Think about it. If you're a woman and you're married, you're with a guy, and you're going to be around maybe other guys that you may have dated or something like that, right? And your guy is there. He may have like anger feelings or like jealousy. He may act out because he needs validation too, to know that you are,
hey, I'm good with you. You're good with me. Exactly.
Men needing validation. I feel like it comes out through their actions, because some of them are not as good as communicators or verbalizers of their emotions as women.
Very good.
That is great. And I think
thank you, Dave, for really jumping in on that. Do you guys see the comment that just came in from Todd Garrett? You can't see it. Okay, let me give it to you guys. They're coming in here, and this is supposed to be a 30-minute show. We're in for it. Okay. Well, hey, Todd, thank you so much for shooting your comments across. When we start having negative thoughts of ourselves, what do you think we should do at that time? Does validation help with anything?
There is negative thoughts are a natural thing to humans, because life is about survival, and negativity drives survival in our primitive brain. So we respond more to negative, it's like if you have two parents, one is very positive influence on your life, tells you lots of, wonderful things, validates you, highly. The other one is more abusive and negative. You always go and listen to the negative side because of this kind of development and survival mechanism that you're always fight or flight with. And I think that negative thoughts becomes a habit. It is kind of a primitive part of our brain. It becomes a habit. What I tried to teach one of my daughters has, kind of she's more like me. She kind of has to have that approval. And I tell her, when you get those negative thoughts in your brain, it's a habit. You have to literally stop that thought and change it into something more positive for yourself, and just practice that. Like you practice brushing your teeth every morning. It is very difficult to do, but those habits have to be redeveloped because we're ingrained to go to that negative side.
Wow. Day, you want to go ahead? I see you ready to go.
Maybe it's me being the extrovert I am, but one thing I do is, if having a negative thought, is I check in with my tribe, whether that's my sisters, my friends, and I'll say, am I tripping? Or is that.
Wow. I love that.
That's good.
So they'll like come in and say yes or no. I have people who will say no to me or yes. And I feel like that helps, as well as having program statements that you can say to yourself that you will know that's going to get you over that,
Sure.
So
I think it's, saying that, I think it's really good, because you really do become, I think a lot of your thoughts are measured by what's around you, but it's also very, very important to have a great tribe, as you would say, or have a good support system around you that you can really go and bounce things off with. So Day, I like that response.
There's a level of confidence to it too, because Day is a very confident young lady, and I keep saying young. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to.
No.
You're beautiful, and I admire you. But you're very confident and strong young lady, and I think that I admire a lot of the younger women these days, or like a different generation, because you are a lot more confident. Women in my day and age, we really were not very confident. It was we were always looking to others to bring
validate,
absolutely, just make it simple, validate. And that has been a very tough thing to break over the years. I think I still fall back into that when I feel weak at times. If I'm exhausted or something, I'll fall back to that pattern. But it is something that a lot of women, I'm glad your generation is breaking through that. It's very important. And we, Valerie and I, as a kind of a different generation, need to help you guys pursue that, help you understand it, and pursue
how important it is. Well, we got another question here before we are cut off with this 30-minute. I think we're going to have to make this thing longer. I really had no idea just how many people were longing for the Career Candid conversation. Okay, can you share of the experience or validation you had? I'm so sorry, I can't even see. Can you share some of the experiences where validation had an important role in a situation for you? Wow. Okay, all righty. Go for it.
Which day?
Okay.
Which day or time that happened yesterday? I don't
All right, Doc. I know you have to deal with it every day, all the time, especially with medicine. But go ahead, Day. I see you're ready to take that.
I was going to say, when I started my business, I was just unsure because it's not anything I had done before. And so for me, when I would have imposter syndrome or struggle with balancing the kids and all the things, and like, why can't I just work my job and be happy? Why I need to start a business? Validation came from other people, either clients to say, oh, you helped me so much, or family who talked about how proud they were of me. My husband, who was, saw me in a different light and was like, giving me praise there. So when I was unsure of a new chapter in my life, validation helped me from the people around me to let me know again, I'm doing the right thing.
Yes.
And that keep going. And so it helps me because it's hard doing new things. And validation, I think, gives you an extra level of comfort or structure or security to keep going.
Yes.
So in a business aspect, the working with staff. So I own my business and I'm working with my staff, and there's always this line I've had to learn over time that you can't always be friends, with your staff or friends with your children or, whatnot. But when you are forceful and trying to make a decision and being the executive director, you go over somebody's head or something, you're afraid that people are going to be upset or angry with you. and not like you. And then, that's going to disrupt your workflow or so, or disrupt your home. But, having to learn that, and that's where I reach for validation from, my business partner, people around me that say, no, you have to run your business. It is about taking care of people. It's not about being friends with people. And so that has always been a very difficult line for me to walk for,
I think for me, if I would take that, it was probably starting this career conversation. I had physicians, I had that were getting my clients that were kind of getting burnout in the medicine world that was saying, how do you make that leap to go from this to that? And then, of course, I had other professionals that were actually working in their fields that wanted to kind of come out of the 9 to 5 and start something on their own. And it was very easy for me to talk about what that looked like for me now one-on-one. But the difficult part was, should I start this conversation and open it up to everyone else? And how is that going to look? And what is that all about? So it really has taken me with all of my own questions. It's taken me a while to really take this thing off and go with the career conversation. Even though I knew in my gut, I wish I would have had someone that I could have talked to when I first stepped out of there and decided to go into business for myself. So probably starting VK career conversation, because it is difficult. It's different for me.
Right.
That was it. Well, with that being said, ladies, I know, is there anything, I know we talked about doing it all. Look, they want to come back in with more questions. We talked about doing it all. They're not going to let me get off of here. They are loving you guys. Hey, maybe we just need to make you guys be the regular face on here with me every time we go live.
No problem.
Okay, let's see here. It says, I can't see, my eyes are so. Okay, can y'all see that question at the bottom? We just tagged. Okay, who wants to take that from David Sanchez?
Well, David asked Marianne, from whom do you get the most of the support in your career growing time? I have, I'm very lucky. I've got a lot of great people around me. I've had to do a lot by myself, and I'm proud of that. But there is a pharmacist up in Austin, Texas, named Ray Solano, that runs a compounding pharmacy called PD Labs. And I have to give a shout out to Ray. He has been like a father figure since my father passed. He's a wonderful businessman, and for some reason took me under his wing. I have no idea why, but he has been, he helped me with getting, my podcast up and going. I'm medical director of a clinic there, and he's, put me in the integrative world and all, been really wonderful. But he gives me a lot of great business advice from time to time. My business partner is really wonderful too, a very brilliant business person as well. So, but I think Ray deserves a shout out this morning.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much. What I want to do before we go, I want each of you all to, if you can picture an individual that's thinking about starting a business, or kind of like in a business, and they're at a place that you were at when you questioned whether or not you should keep going or you should go forward. I want each of you all to leave them with some type of word of encouragement, or maybe you need to tell them to just leave them with whatever your thought is. And of course, I'll start with you, Dave, and then tell the people about you and how they can find you.
Okay. I will say this quote from Maya Angelou, and it can work for men and women, but it's just difficult, but not more difficult than remaining in a situation that is not nurturing to the whole person. So whenever you think something new, just know you're destined to walk into this, and change is hard, but you can do it. And so that helped me at so many stages of my life, from a young adult to now, and I live and die by that. So
Wonderful.
Okay, and how can they find you, and what is it that you do, Day? I know you said it at the top of the hour, but really tell them who you are.
I am a productivity coach, digital organizer. So anything in your digital life that is causing you stress and disorganized, our team is one to help you clear that clutter so that you can be and live your full potential. I own a company called Simplicity by Day, and you can find me at our website and find out more about what we do at simplicitybyday.com, and it's DAY.
Mhm. And if I can put my stamp on her, she's amazing in her own right. I have learned, I actually met Day years ago in my corporate world. And she was a young fire, highly intelligent, walked in her truth. She's just such a professional. So I can definitely say she is someone that you can trust your brand with, you trust your business with. Go out there and check her out. Honestly, go for it. Okay, and of course you, Doc. Come
Gotcha.
on in.
Day
Same
is going to
question.
hear from me. I need help, so that's good. I like her. She's awesome. So,
Yes.
I had do this as quick as possible. I had a discussion with my trainer yesterday who is trying to jump in and develop it's her own business. She's trying to develop it a little deeper and do something very different. And she just keeps saying, well, I'm going to do this, but I'm not ready. And just going back and forth. And I told her, because I recently started a kind of a weight loss business here in San Antonio. And I told her, I said, you know what? I said, in the past, I always thought that I had to have it all planned and organized and ready and then launch. And I said, that's not at all how it happens. You just start and then make it up as you go. And so you just bring, it's like I've got one patient today and I just don't want to look dumb. I want to look organized. I want to look, good at what and proficient at what I'm doing. But I just started with one patient and I just started, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I need to change this. And so I'll do it this way, even change the pricing a little bit, things like that. You just have to start. And if you can just take one step, just be brave, take that one step, you're gonna be fine. It doesn't have to be perfect from the very beginning. Don't create those unrealistic expectations for yourself. It's okay. You're not gonna fail. Just take that one step. And so I think that's the best advice I have for somebody who's really wanting to leap out there.
Well, and how can they find you? And since you're starting this new thing too, put it out there and let them know.
You got it. Absolutely. So I think my baby really is my podcast. And that is I'm about to have a new website. So get ready. That's coming. But you can go to drpbetterlife.com. And it is the Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. It's on YouTube. It is on San Antonio radio here locally, but it is YouTube and on all of those social media. I mean, all of the platforms for podcasting. So iTunes and Spotify and all of that. I do have a clinic here in town, and so I do see patients. And I tell people it's really easy to get to it. You just go to Start Now at betterlifeweightloss.com. And so that is the easiest way, but you can find me anywhere. If you go to drpbetterlife.com, there's a contact form, there's information about me, information about the clinic. I mean, it's all there. Okay. I'm on social media as well. So Dr. Marianne Pinkston, all together. On Instagram, and then on the Dr. Pinkston's podcast and radio show on Facebook and other places. I can be found. So, but drpbetterlife.com, that's the place to go.
Well, I have to say this. You ladies are so refreshing. I really want to have time. And Abigail made me promise, and the team made me promise, that I keep it to 30 minutes, but we are getting so much engagement because I didn't know what this thing was going to do, and it's really doing what it's supposed to do. I am one that trusts. When you trust God and you just kind of walk in your own purpose and not in other people's purpose, the right things will follow. Well, so I definitely believe that you two ladies are, wow, I think we should do this again. I don't know what your schedule is once a month, but I do feel like both of you all with such different professional career paths, but so much to say. I would love to have you guys back on next month. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Anything for you, Val.
Oh my God, that's why I love you guys. Again, thank you guys for being a part of the career conversation. Do you guys see, wait, before we go, do you see we hit 341 viewers? And yes, do you hear me? Great. 341 people have been on. Wonderful. Yes, you just get going, keep going. God is good. And thank you, ladies. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.